Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. For those who don't know me, my name is Nicki. I am an author and an editor, and I post videos here on YouTube about books, writing, editing, and all the other things that I love, and over which I fangirl, because I am quite the obsessive fangirl. So if you're new to my channel, that's a bit about me, but I'd also like to welcome you today to a new series. Now, it's a very wet and wild day here in Adelaide. Yes, it does rain in Australia too, and get cold. It's not always sunny and warm. I'm hoping that the rain on our roof is not going to be too much of an issue for this video, but please bear with me if there's a bit of reverberation going on in the background. Anyway, I'm here to introduce a new monthly series I'm about to start. It is called Crash Course Classics. It's occurred to me, and I've noticed as I watch videos on YouTube and read blog posts by other bloggers, book bloggers, particularly on some of the weekend blog hops when we get asked questions about books. I have noticed this trend that people don't seem to like the classics so much anymore. Now that's a very sweeping statement, obviously that's not everyone, but there does seem to be a bit of a turn away from them in some of the younger generations, which I find really quite a shame, which is what's prompted me to do this series. I've been reading classics since I was about 12, 13. In fact, for about a 3-year period in my mid-teens, I read nothing but classics. You may see this yellow series of penguins here behind me. They used to be available in the bookshop in town. It was a cheap bookshop, and you used to be able to get 6 of these babies for £5. Yeah. So for 3 years, all I read was these. I don't know if you'll see all of them in the shot, but I've got 2 shelf worths of books here. It was actually a bit of a shock to the system when I then went and bought another book once I finished their range, and I was absolutely aghast that I had to pay £8 for one book when I'd been getting 6 for £5. But that's another story. In any case, I've always adored the classics. For me, they're not a chore. I was reading them before, really, or at the same time as we were starting to study some of them at high school. So, I mean, we go to high school about age 12 in England. Year 7 is the first year of high school, which I thought I'd point out because here in Australia, year 8 is the first year of high school, I think still. So we go to high school in year 7, and at that point we start studying the classics. However, to me, they were never a chore, they were never schoolwork, they were always something I really enjoyed, right from that young age of about 12. And I just want to do this series to get some of my enthusiasm, I hope, for these books over to an audience who will maybe give them another chance. I think the trouble is, because they're studied at school, they're perceived as hard work, boring, and nothing could be further from the truth. I think most of the problem is that the style of writing has changed dramatically over the last few centuries, and what people expect in books now is very different from the way people wrote in the Victorian, Georgian eras. All you need to do really to appreciate the classics is to be able to get your head around that, and to be able to come at them with a different mindset and not expect the prose to be like it is in a modern book. To that end, I have decided to start this series. As I said, I'm going to post once a month, and each month I will concentrate on a new author. I will give you, to begin with, a little biography of that author, because I think it's often important to set their works within the context of the times in which they lived. It does help illuminate some of their themes and the reasons they were writing the sort of stories they did. After that, I will look very briefly at some of their major works. I'm not going to go into a big long spiel about the stories of each of them. I'm just going to highlight the major works and talk about some of the common themes that run through that author's writing, and in particular the style of that author's writing. That helps set it, I think, within the period it was written as well. And it tells you what to expect as you're reading these books, what to look out for, how to approach them. And finally, I will close with some recommendations. I'm going to recommend each month the book that I think you should start with. If you've read nothing by this author before, what's the book that I think is the most accessible, that's going to be your best chance to ease yourself into this author's writing. And I will also, where appropriate, recommend any film and TV versions. Sometimes I think it's helpful to watch some film and TV. They're not always completely accurate, but if you're someone who struggles with the huge cast of characters that often appear in these novels, then seeing them on screen does help you get them clear in your head, which is then obviously going to aid you as you read the book. That's particularly true of some of the Russian novels. where there are so many people and they're referred to in a different way by different people based on the Russian naming system. So I think sometimes watching those is a big help just to get things clear before you approach the text. So I'm going to close there. I'm going to start in tomorrow's video. I'm not going to keep you waiting. Straight away tomorrow, Victor Hugo. I've been reading a few of his books again and picking up some new ones recently, so I thought he was a great place to start. He's also pretty accessible once you get around some of his little foibles. So that's my kick-off point. I've got a list of other authors I'm going to be doing. I'm going to stick mainly with the English Americans, though I will dip into some of the European authors a little bit as well. And essentially the period I'm going to cover is 1700 up to about the 1720s, maybe 30s. So a fairly broad period, a lot of different writing styles. If there's a classical author that you would like me to talk about, one that's top of your list that you'd like to try but you're not sure how to approach them, pop that in the comments and I'll do my best to get those videos out for you. I'll close there, but I look forward to seeing you all again tomorrow when we'll be chatting about good old Victor Hugo. Bye for now, everyone.